Every morning in our quiet, tight-knit Black American community, folks thought I was just another hard-working woman, starting my day with a cup of coffee and a prayer. They didn't know that for months my own flesh and blood, my son, Malik, was stirring something far darker into my mug. He thought he was slick, thought he was impatient enough to taste my inheritance, my life insurance, my small business savings before I was even gone. But here's what Malik didn't know. I had already changed my will. I had already moved every dollar, every deed, every asset into a trust he couldn't touch. And I had already been warned, because in our neighborhood, where family betrayal, jealousy, and greed can hide behind a warm smile, rumors travel faster than fire. My name is Sharon, and this is the story of how I turned the tables on my own son before he could bury me. Before we get into it, let me just say, if this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this ends. Drop a comment, and let me know if you've ever had family do you dirty. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's going to shake you. Let me take you back to where it all started. Not the poisoning. That had been going on longer than I knew. I'm talking about the moment I knew. It was a Thursday afternoon at Myra's Beauty Palace, the kind of place where secrets don't stay secrets for long. The smell of hot combs and relaxer filled the air, mixing with the sound of gospel music playing low on the radio. I was sitting in Myra's chair, getting my usual wash and set, when Ella leaned over from the dryer next to me. Ella's been doing hair in this neighborhood for 30 years. She knows everybody's business, and if she doesn't know it, she'll find out by Sunday. She looked around first, made sure Mira was in the back mixing color. Then she pulled her dryer hood up just enough to talk. "Sharon," she said, her voice low and careful, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to not react." My stomach dropped right there. When someone starts a sentence like that, you know it's not good news. "What is it?" I asked, keeping my eyes on the mirror in front of me. "It's about Malik." I felt my jaw tighten. My son, my only child, the boy I raised by myself after his father walked out when he was 3, the man I put through college working double shifts at the hospital. What about him? Ella glanced toward the back again. "Zara's cousin works at the pharmacy on 5th Street. You know the one." I nodded. She said Malik's been coming in, buying things, strange things, rat poison, Sharon, and not just once. The room got real quiet in my head, even though the music was still playing and Mira was still clanging around in the back. Everything narrowed down to Ella's face, and those 3 words, rat poison. "You sure?" I heard myself ask. Zara's cousin wouldn't lie about something like that. She's worried. Said she thought about calling somebody, but she wasn't sure if it was her place. I sat there under that dryer, feeling the heat on my scalp, and my whole world shifted, because I wasn't surprised. Not really. Deep down, in that place where mothers know things they don't want to know, I had already felt something was wrong. I just hadn't wanted to name it. "Thank you," I told Ella. "I mean it." She squeezed my hand. "You be careful, Sharon. Family or not, you be careful." I left that beauty shop with my hair done and my mind racing. The walk home was only 4 blocks, but it felt like miles. Every step, I was thinking about Malik, about how he'd changed over the past year, how he started asking about my insurance policies, how he wanted to know about my will, about the house, about the 2 rental properties I owned on the east side, how he'd moved back home 6 months ago, saying he needed to save money and figure things out, how he started making my coffee every single morning, bringing it to me with a smile that I now realized never quite reached his eyes. By the time I reached my front door, I knew what I had to do. I had to watch. I had to see for myself. And if what Ella said was true, I had to be smarter than my own son. My house sits on the corner of Maple and 3rd. It's a 3-bedroom, brick home my mama left me when she passed 12 years ago. She bought it in 1967 with money she saved working as a seamstress, and she made me promise I'd never sell it. This house is your foundation, Sharon, she told me on her deathbed. Don't let nobody take it from you. I kept that promise, even when Malik's father wanted me to sell it and move to the suburbs, even when the neighborhood got rough in the 90s, even when gentrification started creeping in and white folks started offering me triple what it's worth. This house is mine, and it was supposed to be Malik's one day. But standing at my front door that Thursday evening, key in hand, I realized that maybe Malik didn't want to wait for one day. Maybe he wanted it now. I walked in and heard him in the kitchen, heard the clinking of dishes, the running water. He was cleaning up from lunch, probably. Malik had been unemployed for 8 months, said the job market was tough, said he was applying everywhere, but I'd stopped seeing any evidence of that months ago. "Hey, Mama," he called out when he heard me come in. "How was Myra's?" "Same as always," I said, setting my purse on the hallway table. "Hair looks good, though." I walked into the kitchen, and there he was, my son, 32 years old, 6 feet tall, built like his father. He had my eyes, though, dark brown, almost black. Used to be that when I looked in those eyes, I saw myself, saw love, saw the little boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them flowers. Now, I didn't know what I was looking at. "You want some coffee?" he asked. I was just about to make a fresh pot. My blood went cold. "No, baby," I said, keeping my voice light. "I'm good. Think I'm going to lie down for a bit. Long day." Something flickered across his face. Disappointment? Frustration? It was so quick I almost missed it. "You sure?" "I already got the pot on." "I'm sure. You go ahead, though." I went to my bedroom and closed the door. Then I sat on the edge of my bed, and I cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet tears running down my face while I held my hand over my mouth. This was my son, my baby, and he was trying to kill me. I need to pause here for a second. If you're listening to this and your heart is racing like mine was that day, leave a comment. Tell me I'm not crazy for what I'm about to do next. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. This story gets deeper, trust me. After I pulled myself together, I started thinking strategically. I'm not a stupid woman. I worked as a nurse for 35 years. I've seen what poison does to the body. I've seen families torn apart by greed. I've seen good people do terrible things for money, but I never thought I'd see it in my own home. That night, after Malik went to bed, I sat at my kitchen table with a notepad and started writing down everything I knew, every strange thing, every red flag I'd ignored. The list was long. 3 months ago, I started feeling sick after my morning coffee. Nauseous, dizzy, weak. I thought it was my blood pressure. Went to the doctor twice. They ran tests, found nothing conclusive, told me to reduce stress and watch my diet. I got better on weekends when I visited my friend Samantha in Richmond. She'd notice I looked healthier, stronger. Must be that country air. She'd joke. But it wasn't the air. It was the absence of poison. 2 months ago, Malik started asking about my insurance. Said he was just curious about how these things work. Asked if I had enough coverage. Asked who the beneficiary was. 1 month ago, he suggested I update my will. Just to make sure everything's in order, Mama. You never know. He was right about that. You never know. Except I did know. I knew my son was counting my days, spending my money in his head, planning a future that required me to be dead. So I made some calls. Friday morning, I called my lawyer. His name is Ethan Morrison, and he's been handling my business for 20 years. Good man. Honest. Discreet. "Ethan," I said when he picked up, "I need to see you today. It's urgent. Sharon? Everything all right? No, but it will be. Can you fit me in? Come by at 2. I'll make time. I didn't tell Malik where I was going. Just said I had errands to run. He barely looked up from his phone when I left. Ethan's office is downtown, in one of those old buildings with high ceilings and wooden floors that creak. He met me at the door himself, concern written all over his face. Talk to me, he said once we were in his office with the door closed. I told him everything, about the pharmacy, about the coffee, about how sick I'd been, about Malik's sudden interest in my assets. Ethan listened without interrupting, his fingers steepled under his chin. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to do? He finally asked. I want to protect myself. I want to change everything. And I want to do it in a way that he won't know until it's too late. Ethan nodded slowly. All right, here's what we're going to do. Over the next 2 hours, we restructured everything. Every asset I owned, the house, the rental properties, my savings accounts, my life insurance went into an irrevocable trust. The beneficiaries, my church, a scholarship fund in my mother's name, and Samantha's granddaughter, who was heading to medical school. Malik got nothing, not a dime, not a deed, nothing. This is airtight, Ethan assured me. Even if something happens to you, he can't contest it. The trust is irrevocable. It's done. Good, I said. Now, I need you to do one more thing. What's that? I need you to document everything we've discussed today, every suspicion, every detail, and I need you to keep it somewhere safe. If something happens to me, I want people to know why. Ethan's expression darkened. Sharon, if you're in danger, we should call the police. And tell them what? That my son bought rat poison? That's not illegal. That I've been feeling sick. They'll say it's coincidence. No, Ethan, I need proof, and I'm going to get it. I left his office feeling lighter than I had in months. Whatever Malik was planning, he'd already lost. He just didn't know it yet. But I wasn't done. That weekend, I started paying attention. Real attention. The kind that makes you see things you missed before because you didn't want to see them. Saturday morning, Malik made coffee. I watched him from the hallway, still in my bathrobe, staying just out of sight. He had his back to me, and I saw him reach into his pocket and pull out a small bottle. He glanced toward the stairs, checking if I was coming, then carefully poured something into my mug. Not much, just a little. Then he stirred it nice and slow and put the bottle back in his pocket. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he might hear it, but I stayed still, stayed quiet. Morning, Mama, he called out, turning around with my mug in hand. I stepped into view, forcing a smile. Morning, baby. That coffee ready. Just how you like it. He handed me the mug, and our eyes met. His face was pleasant, normal, like he was handing me love in a cup instead of death. Thank you, I said, taking it from him. Then I did something I'd practiced in my mind all night. I brought the mug to my lips, pretended to sip, and made a satisfied sound. Perfect. Malik smiled. A real smile this time. Good. I'm going to go work out. Be back in an hour or so. Take your time. The moment he left, I poured that coffee down the drain, rinsed the mug, filled it with clean coffee from the pot, and sat at the kitchen table, shaking. He'd done it right in front of me. No hesitation. No guilt. That's when I knew this wasn't new. This wasn't his first time. He'd been doing this for months, probably. Getting bolder. Getting sloppy. And I'd been drinking it. Lord knows how much poison I'd already swallowed. But not anymore. Over the next week, I played the game. Every morning, Malik made coffee. Every morning, I pretended to drink it. And every morning after he left, I poured it out. I started feeling better. The nausea faded. The dizziness stopped. My energy came back. Malik noticed. "You're looking good, Mama," he said one morning, and there was something in his voice. Confusion. Maybe frustration. "Thank you, baby. I've been praying more. Taking my vitamins. You know how it is." "Yeah," he said slowly. "I guess the coffee's helping too." "Oh, definitely. Best coffee in the world, the way you make it." His smile didn't reach his eyes. 2 weeks after my visit to Ethan's office, I got a call from Zara. She's Ella's friend from the beauty shop, the one whose cousin works at the pharmacy. "Sharon, I need to tell you something." "Go ahead." "My cousin called me. Said Malik came in again, yesterday. Bought more poison. She's scared, Sharon. She thinks she should report it." "Tell her not to," I said quickly. "Not yet. I'm handling it." "Handling it how?" "Trust me, Zara. Just give me a little more time." I hung up and sat there in my living room, thinking. Malik was getting desperate. He'd upped the dose, probably. Wondering why I wasn't getting sicker. Wondering why I wasn't dying. That's when I decided it was time to make my move. I called a family meeting. Told Malik we needed to have a serious conversation about the future. About my health. About my plans. He looked nervous when I said it. "Is everything okay, Mama?" "Everything's fine. But we need to talk. Sunday dinner. I'm inviting Samantha, and Ryan too. Ryan is my nephew, my late sister's boy. He's an attorney. Works in civil rights law. Good man like Ethan. Someone I trust." "Why Ryan?" Malik asked, and I could hear the edge in his voice. "Because this involves family business, and he's family. That okay with you?" "Yeah, sure. Of course." But it wasn't okay. I could see it in his face. The way his jaw tightened. The way his eyes went cold. "Y'all, I'm going to need you to breathe with me for a second. Because what happened at that Sunday dinner? It was the beginning of the end. If you're invested in this story, drop a like. Let me know you're still with me. And subscribe if you haven't already, because the confrontation is coming, and you don't want to miss it. Sunday came around like Judgment Day. I spent all morning cooking. Fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, cornbread. All of Malik's favorites. I wanted him comfortable. Wanted him to think this was just a normal family dinner. Samantha arrived first, carrying a peach cobbler and wearing that knowing look she gets when she senses something's wrong. I'd filled her in on everything over the phone 2 days before. She cried. Then she'd gotten mad. Then she'd asked me what I needed her to do. Just be there, I told her. Just witness. Ryan came next, pulling up in his Tesla, looking sharp in his Sunday clothes, even though we weren't going to church. He hugged me at the door, held on a little longer than usual. "You sure about this, Aunt Sharon?" he whispered. "I'm sure." Malik was already at the table, checking his phone. He looked up when everyone came in, put on his social face. "Hey, Aunt Samantha." "Ryan, good to see y'all." "Good to see you too, baby," Samantha said, but her voice was cold in a way only another black woman would catch. We sat down to eat, passed around dishes, made small talk, but there was tension in the air thick enough to cut. Finally, after we'd all filled our plates, I cleared my throat. "So, the reason I called everyone here today is because I want to talk about my estate planning. I've made some changes recently, and I think it's important that family knows." Malik's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "Changes? Yes. With Ethan's help, I've put all my assets into an irrevocable trust." The room got very quiet. "What kind of trust?" Malik asked, his voice careful. "The kind that protects everything I've worked for. The house, the rental properties, my savings, my life insurance. All of it. Protects it from what? From anyone who might not have my best interests at heart." Our eyes locked across the table. I watched his face change, watched the mask slip just a little. Who are the beneficiaries? He asked. That's not your concern. I'm your son. It's absolutely my concern. No, I said, keeping my voice level. It's not. Because you see, Malik, I've been watching you. Samantha put down her fork. Ryan leaned back in his chair, quiet but alert. Watching me? Malik's voice rose. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know what you've been doing, what you've been putting in my coffee every morning for the past God knows how long. The color drained from his face. Mama, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you lie to me, I said, and my voice came out harder than I intended. Don't you sit in my mother's house, at my mother's table, and lie to my face. I'm not. Rat poison, Malik, from the pharmacy on 5th Street. You've bought it 3 times in the past 2 months. He stood up so fast his chair fell over backward. Who told you that? Who's been talking about me? Does it matter? What matters is that it's true, isn't it? You're crazy, he said, but his voice shook. You're paranoid and you're crazy, and I don't have to listen to this. Sit down, Ryan said. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Sit down and let your mother finish. Malik looked at Ryan, then at me, then at Samantha. He was cornered, and he knew it. He sat. I took a breath, steadied myself. This was it, the moment I'd been building toward. I want you to know something. Malik, every morning for the past 3 weeks, I haven't drunk a single sip of the coffee you made me. I poured it out, every single cup. His eyes widened. That's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still healthy. That's why your plan didn't work. There was no plan, he said, but the words came out weak. Then explain the poison. Explain why you've been asking about my will, my insurance, my assets. Explain why you moved back home right around the time I started getting sick. I moved back home because I needed help, because I lost my job, and I had nowhere else to go. You didn't lose your job, Samantha said quietly. You quit. I know because I ran into Mara from your old company at the grocery store. She told me you just stopped showing up one day. Malik's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. You thought you could wait me out. I continued. But you got impatient, started thinking about all that money, all those properties. You probably already had plans for them, didn't you? Already decided how you'd spend my life insurance. Stop it, he whispered. $200,000. That's what my policy is worth. Was worth. Until I changed the beneficiary. His head snapped up. You what? You heard me. Every asset I have is in a trust that you cannot touch. Even if I die tomorrow, you get nothing. Not this house. Not the rentals. Not 1 penny. Malik stood again, and this time his whole body was shaking. With rage. With fear. I couldn't tell which. You can't do that. I'm your son. I'm your only child. And you tried to kill me. The words hung in the air between us. You were going to poison me to death in my own home, I said, and my voice cracked for the first time. You were going to bury me and cry at my funeral and take everything I worked for like you deserved it, like you earned it. Mama, don't call me that. I said, don't you ever call me that again. Tears were running down his face now, real tears, but I couldn't tell if they were from guilt or just from getting caught. I'm sorry, he choked out. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, I wasn't thinking. You meant every bit of it. You thought about it every time you poured that poison, every time you handed me that cup, every time you watched me drink it. Ryan stood up and pulled out his phone. I think we should call the police. No, I said. Everyone looked at me. No police. Not yet. Aunt Sharon. I want to handle this my way. This is my son. My house. My decision. Malik collapsed back into his chair, his head in his hands. He was sobbing now, big heaving sobs that shook his shoulders. Part of me wanted to comfort him, That's what mothers do, isn't it? We comfort our babies when they cry, even when they don't deserve it. But I stayed where I was. Here's what's going to happen. I said, you're going to pack your things and you're going to leave my house. Tonight. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. A shelter. A friend's couch. Under a bridge. That's not my problem anymore. Mama, please. I'm not finished. You're going to leave, and you're never coming back. You're not welcome here. Not for holidays. Not for birthdays. Not even for my funeral, whenever that day comes. You can't mean that. Oh, I mean every word. And if you ever try to contact me again, if you ever show your face around here, I will go to the police. I will tell them everything. I have evidence. I have witnesses. I have documentation of every purchase you made, every suspicious moment, every lie you told. His face went pale. You've been documenting? For weeks now. I'm not the fool you thought I was. Samantha reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her eyes were wet, but her face was hard. There's one more thing, I said. I want you to know why I'm really doing this. It's not just about the money or the poison or the betrayal. Then what is it? It's about teaching you that actions have consequences, that you can't hurt people, especially the people who love you, and expect to walk away unscathed. You tried to kill me for money, Malik, money that you didn't earn, money that I worked my whole life for while you sat on your behind, making excuses. I made mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is saying something hurtful in anger. What you did was calculated. It was murder, attempted murder. And the only reason you're not in handcuffs right now is because I'm giving you a chance your father never gave you. What chance? The chance to live with what you've done. To wake up every day knowing you tried to kill your own mother. To spend the rest of your life wondering if you could have been different. If things could have been different. If you could have just been patient. And I would have given you everything anyway. The truth of that hit him. I could see it in his eyes, because it was true. I had planned to leave him everything. The house, the properties, everything. He was my only child, my legacy, but he couldn't wait. He couldn't just love me and let me live and trust that I would take care of him even after I was gone. He had to take. He had to destroy. Go pack your things. I said quietly, you have 1 hour. I know some of you are thinking I'm too harsh. Some of you are thinking I should have called the police. Some of you are thinking I should have forgiven him because he's my son. But let me ask you this. What would you do? If your own child tried to kill you for money, how would you respond? Comment below. I really want to know. And if this story is speaking to your soul, hit that subscribe button. Malik went upstairs. I heard him moving around, opening drawers, dragging suitcases. The sounds of my son packing up his life and leaving my house for the last time. Ryan and Samantha stayed with me. We sat in the living room, not talking much. What was there to say? After about 45 minutes, Malik came down with 2 suitcases and a backpack. His eyes were red and swollen. He looked younger somehow, smaller. He stood in the doorway to the living room, looking at me. I really am sorry, Mama. I know you don't believe me, but I am. I didn't respond. I hope one day you can forgive me. I won't, I said simply, but I hope one day you can forgive yourself, because that's something you're going to have to live with. He nodded slowly. Then he turned and walked out the front door. I heard his car start. Heard it pull away from the curb, heard the engine fade into the distance. And then he was gone. Samantha came and sat next to me on the couch, put her arm around my shoulders. I leaned into her, and finally, I let myself cry. Not for what could have been. Not for the son I thought I had, but for the mother I was, who loved too hard and trusted too much and almost died for it. The next few days were strange. Empty. I kept expecting to hear Malik moving around upstairs. Kept expecting him to walk into the kitchen, asking what was for breakfast. But the house was quiet. Ryan came by every day to check on me, brought groceries, sat with me while I drank my coffee, real coffee made by my own hands. You did the right thing, he kept saying. Did I? Yes. You protected yourself. You stood up for yourself. That takes real strength, Aunt Sharon. Maybe he was right. Maybe it did. Ella called from the beauty shop. Word had gotten around, the way it always does in our neighborhood. Everyone knew. Everyone was talking. How you holding up, honey? She asked. I'm breathing. That's something. That's everything. You're still here. You won. Don't forget that. Won. It didn't feel like winning, but it didn't feel like losing either. It felt like survival. It's been 3 months now since Malik left. 3 months of sleeping better. 3 months of making my own coffee without fear. 3 months of learning to live alone again. I've heard through the grapevine that he's staying with a friend across town, that he got a job at a warehouse, that he's trying to get his life together. I don't know if that's true. I don't really care. What I do know is this. I'm still here. I'm still standing. I still own my mother's house and my rental properties and my peace of mind. The trust is set up. The will is changed. Everything is documented and legal and airtight. And if something happens to me tomorrow, at least I'll know that I died on my own terms. Not poisoned by my own son. Not betrayed in my own home. Not a victim. Last Sunday, I went to church for the first time since everything happened. Sat in my usual pew, 4th row from the front on the right side. People looked at me different. Some with pity, some with respect. Some with that particular kind of curiosity that comes from knowing someone else's tragedy. But I held my head high. Pastor Williams preached on betrayal that day, on Judas and Jesus, on how sometimes the people closest to us hurt us the deepest. But, he said, his voice rising, we are not defined by what is done to us. We are defined by how we respond. I responded by surviving, by being smart, by refusing to be a victim, and I'll keep responding that way every day for the rest of my life. There's something I haven't told you yet, something I've been holding back because it's the hardest part of this whole story. The truth is, part of me still loves Malik. He's still my son, still the baby I held in my arms when he was born, still the little boy who used to climb into my bed during thunderstorms, still the teenager who brought me breakfast in bed on Mother's Day. Somewhere inside the man who tried to kill me is the child I raised, the child I loved, the child who loved me back. But love isn't enough. It never was. Love doesn't protect you from betrayal. It doesn't stop poison from working. It doesn't change what happened. What changes things is truth and action and the courage to do what needs to be done even when your heart is breaking. My heart broke the day Malik left, but I'm still here, still breathing, still living, and that's what matters. Some of you might be wondering if I'll ever let him back into my life, if time will soften me, if I'll forgive him eventually. The answer is no, not because I'm cruel, not because I don't believe in second chances, but because some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds don't heal, and some people, even when they're your own flesh and blood, don't deserve access to you. Malik made his choice when he poured that first drop of poison into my coffee. He chose money over love, greed over patience, murder over mercy. And I made my choice when I poured that coffee down the drain. I chose life. I chose dignity. I chose myself. We all make choices. We all live with the consequences. These are mine. These are his. And this is how our story ends. It's been a full year now. The seasons have changed 4 times. I've celebrated one birthday without my son, one Christmas, one Mother's Day. That Mother's Day was the hardest. I woke up expecting nothing, and I got nothing. No card, no call, no flowers. But Samantha came over with her granddaughter, and we had brunch on my back porch. And Ryan stopped by with his kids, and they made me homemade cards that said best great aunt ever. And I realized something that day sitting on my porch, surrounded by people who loved me for real and not for what they could get from me. I realized I was free, free from fear, free from wondering every morning if today would be the day the poison finally worked, free from trusting someone who didn't deserve my trust, free to live the rest of my life on my own terms. I've started volunteering at the church, working with the youth group, mentoring young women who remind me of myself at their age, teaching them about strength and dignity and the importance of protecting what's yours. I've started writing too. Nothing fancy, just my story, the whole truth of it for anyone who might need to hear it. Because here's what I've learned. We're not alone in this. Women all over the world are being betrayed by people they love, being taken advantage of, being underestimated. But we're stronger than they think, smarter than they know. And when we decide to fight back, when we decide to protect ourselves, we're unstoppable. So this is my story. This is my truth. My son tried to poison me, but I poisoned his plans instead. And I'm still here to tell the tale. Thank you for staying with me through this whole journey.